All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
Welcome back to another episode of Reignite Resilience. I'm your co-host, Natalie Davis, and I am so excited to be back with you all today. I may be afternoon caffeinated, so you're going to get a higher paced version of Natalie today. And joining me is our fabulous co-host, Pam Cass. Pam, how are you?
I am fabulous, and I'm even better because you and I just discovered we're going to the exact same event tonight that we didn't know we were going to.
No.
And for you guys, yes, it seems like we're together a lot, but we hardly ever get to see each other in person. And so when we get a chance to do this, we get a little bit excited. So I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
I know. Yeah. Pam said, I've got an event this evening. Here's the other thing. Pam and I don't typically do evening events. So she was like, I've got an event this evening. I said, I've got an event this evening. And she goes, are we going to the same event? And lo and behold, yes, we are.
There we are.
Well, I am excited to dive into our episode. Pam, just so you know, in person, you're going to have a super energized version of me because I had to have an afternoon cup of pick-me-up. But we learned something new. So maybe we'll share with our listeners our tip about afternoon coffee as well. We just learned something new from our guest. But we have a fabulous guest joining us today. Why don't you tell our listeners who we have on, and then we can dive in.
I love it. I am so excited. So today we have joining us Richard Walsh. He is a CEO of Sharpen the Spear Coaching. Richard is a 30-year seasoned entrepreneur. He is the best-selling author of Escape the Owner Prison, the contractor's new way to scale, regain control, and fast-track growth while loving life. A speaker and podcast host, he's a husband and father of 6, a U.S. Marine, champion boxer, black belt, and an international recognized steel sculptor. Wow. Okay. So I know not to make you mad.
Exactly.
Because I would not want to meet you in a dark alley, but please share with us your story because you've done a lot and just so excited to get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you. Well, guys, it's great to be on the show. First, thanks for having me. That's the most important thing. Appreciate it. So yeah, if we go back, I'm just going to go back, like went in the Marine Corps, U.S. Marine Corps when I was 17, did that. That was cool. And then got out, started working, decided to become an entrepreneur because I was swinging a pickaxe, like digging a trench by hand for $5 an hour. And I thought, does it get any better than this? I go, it has to get better than this. So
yes.
a guy came out of the house working with me and he said, hey, I need to do a little side gig, and he had like 35 tons of this crushed granite. He wanted me to move it from the street to the backyard. Because this was Tucson, Arizona. So we did. So I could do that. I do that all day. I work. So I spent my last $85 and I bought a wheelbarrow and a shovel. This was before payday. Went, shoveled about 10 hours, moved this whole thing. And here's the best part. He put $1,000 in my hand. I got done for that, right? And I'm like, well, dang, I did this yesterday for $50. Wow. I know my future. I am going to work for myself. And that was the launch of my entrepreneurial journey. Became a landscape business, which then became custom water features, became nationally known, one of the best in the business, won a lot of awards, all the cool stuff, started doing sculpture. That turned into international recognition, world-class exhibits, started building all that great stuff. All that was going really, really good, making a ton of money, doing things, being out front, being the artist, being the public guy and all that stuff. And then 0809 came. And at this time, I had 6 small children, 4 years and younger, my wife. Everything started collapsing. November 5th of 2008, I lost $500,000 in a day. That was the beginning of the cliff, and it just kept going. And by early 09, we were pretty much, I knew it was over. And the reason being not just the economy, it was really the things I didn't do in my business. I was too busy being out front, being cool and doing great things, not paying attention to the store, if you will. So we lost our house, we lost the business, we lost everything. So I had to relocate, start over, didn't know what I was going to do. All I knew is I wasn't going to do that again. So I sold everything I had left. I burned all my uniforms. I was like, I'm never doing this again, because my identity was truly wrapped up in what I did.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a big problem. So I actually woke one day in early '09 and I had this big epiphany that said, if you keep chasing business is first, it's everything. Okay, it's who I am. I got to win. I got to be number one. I got to overcome all this stuff, spend whatever money you have to do. I said, I think I'm going to ruin my children's lives. I think they're going to have broken marriages, failed relationships. They might do okay in business, but everything else in their life is going to be trash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I got out of bed and I went to the office and said, we're done today. And I shut the doors, went to my construction yard, told my guys, we're wrapping it up this week. We're finished. I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. We're going to collapse anyways. And I'm like, and then the challenges began.
Yes.
Because then you got nothing, and you got to go somewhere else and do the whole thing. So, and that's what I did. So we kind of relocated and started over, and I had to figure out what I was going to do. And what that became was, because I didn't know, and I just didn't want to do water features. I didn't want to do steel. And to this day, it's been 15 years. Yeah, it's been 15 years. I haven't built a water feature and I haven't done a sculpture.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't touched it, got rid of it. And I'm just like, because I don't want to get, I guess I could maybe go back and like control it, but I'm like, I don't want to become that person again.
Right.
Because of who I was, and how that really drove me to do things. And I didn't do bad things. I just didn't do the right things.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of a problem. So I used to train people a lot. I love to work out and, boxer, all that cool stuff, So I'm like, well, I'll go be a trainer at like an Anytime Fitness, like any trainer. So I went there and then started training people. Didn't have any trainers. And I built this whole program and did all that. Next thing you know, Rich is trainer of the year. And fitness. So I'm like, well, now I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So if you're trainer of the year, that means I got to go open the gym. I'm going to go start my own thing. So I created the gym, bodyweight training, right ahead phase progressions, like a belt system and all that. So it was really cool. That was great. Did that. Then I got into a contracting business, built my contracting business, roofing, siding, windows, that kind of stuff. That went really great. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book because I'm going to tell the story. And then I started seeing all the patterns in business and why people were kind of failing like I was, or they're trapped. So I wrote this book called Escape the Owner Prison. And it became a bestseller. And I'm like, wow, people ask me how I did all this stuff. So I started mentoring them. And you guys are coaches, so you understand what mentoring means. The word free comes to mind, doesn't it? Free.
100% it does. Yes.
Right? So again, I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm like, well, see, mentors do it for free. Coaches get paid. I think I'll be a coach. I think I need to be a coach. So I had the book. I created an academy around it. Started coaching people, bring them in programs, and that went through a few iterations. And now we're at Sharpen the Spirit Coaching. And my ultimate goal is to help 10,000 business owners create freedom, profit, and impact in their business. I want them to actually get what they started having a business for. Is freedom, profit, and impact, because most never get it.
Yeah.
They get enslaved to it. They're serving it. It doesn't serve them. So that's kind of the big nutshell.
Yeah.
To where that is. Make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And I want to go back to what you said, is it became your identity. I think we see so many people that whatever it is that they do just becomes their identity. And then they feel like they're trapped, like they can't walk away from that.
Right.
And that is a hard thing for people to do, whether it's an identity with a specific company or an identity with a specific career. It's very hard to walk away and redefine yourself.
Yeah, I still have friends who are distraught because I left what I did because I was so good at it. They still can't understand, how can you do that? My wife might have those bouts too. She's like, you could just go do that again. I mean, you may just, I know what I did. I don't want to do that.
Right.
I don't want to do that. So I had to kind of really, it was hard. It was incredibly difficult because like for men especially, what's the first thing we say to each other when we meet? What do you do? I mean, it is a defining question.
Yeah.
So we're put in that whether you realize it or not. You are identified with what you do.
Yes.
right? And it can be good, it can be bad. You say someone's a lawyer, you say someone's a doctor. I mean, that's what they do, right? So they're a doctor.
Yes.
They're not Richard Walsh, they're Dr. So-and-so,
Yes.
right? So you have to, I think the challenge is separating the two.
Yes.
How can you do what you do and then leave that? And as an entrepreneur, it just never gets turned off.
Mm-hmm.
You're just always thinking about the next thing, or who's not going to show up tomorrow, who's, you know, what's going to happen in your business. So it's a really rough ride. And when you have a family, I think, guys, the challenge is, like I'll use my experience with my wife. She came in where things were good. Okay. So things are, I'm killing it. I'm all this, you know, she met me and I'm amazing and all that cool stuff. Just ask me. Okay. But she never had gone through the business building process.
Yeah.
So now we lose everything, have to go from the negative all the way back up. And it is no easy ride.
No.
Right.
It is no easy ride at all. So I like to say I don't wish it on anyone. I hope you have to do that. But if you're going to start a business, buckle up. So I can say, you know,
it's going to take a minute. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Richard, there's so much that I want to unpack. I mean, I know that you gave us like years in a few moments, but there's so much that I want to unpack. Let's start with the entrepreneurship piece, because that's something that's near and dear to us and a lot of our listeners. Oftentimes when we look at entrepreneurs, if they change paths, let's say that, there's typically this desire to have a through line, right? Like, what am I doing now that can easily transition into something different? You went from point A to point Z, you came back to L and circled it back around, and now you're tying it all together to help other individuals in coaching. So how did you make the transition, or what was your process like in making the transition to the variety of industries that you've touched so far?
So part of my personality, good and bad, is I'm all or nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by you saying that. I picked up on that piece. Right. Yes.
Yes.
You're an excellent listener. Listener. Okay. So that, and like I said, the good thing is you can stop something completely and go another direction.
Yeah.
There's no hesitation. You can do that. The bad thing is you can stop something and go in a complete different direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'll give you an example. Like, so I owned everything I had, so trucks and machines, and I just sold it all. 0809, you're getting 20 cents on the dollar for anything, brand new or not. It was a really bad time. So now I sold everything, every welder. I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I'm all or nothing. Right now, could I have kept some of that equipment, done some side gigs, making some money, moving some stuff and doing things, you know, that my wife would say, yes, you should have done that. Okay. Yeah. But I don't operate that way.
Yeah.
Right. Because I can't have, so Spider-Man, right? You know, Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So he shoots a web and he starts swinging. Well, he doesn't let go of that web till the next web is onto something. Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's a Spider-Man thing.
Yes.
I'd be dead in the street because I'm not.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm not connecting to the next web. I'm
not Spider-Man. Yes.
I'll figure it out before I hit the ground. That's what I say. I'll figure it out. You know, but so that's the bad part of it. But the good part is I only operate under pressure. I don't do well with limitless time. So someone would commission me for a sculpture. And I'd say, okay, great. Yeah, I can make whatever. I'll make it, you know, and then they'll say, well, I go, when do you want it done? Oh, whenever, it's okay. I'm like, oh yeah, that time doesn't really work for me because, you know, the last part of that word is never. Whenever, it's never. That's when you'll get it. Never.
Yeah.
Okay. But tell me you want it tomorrow. I'll have it done.
It'll be done.
You know, tell me next week, give me a date. I had a woman, I got commissioned for a big sculpture on downtown Chicago. So it's on Armitage Avenue, this boutique, and really cool. It's this tree. It goes up and hangs over the sidewalk and cantilevers, and it moves. It's you know, kinetic and everything. And so I kind of tell her, I don't draw, but I kind of draw what we're going to do. Okay, good. And then she called me. She goes, well, I want to come see it when it's halfway done. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really into that. I don't really like that. You know, she goes, well, I really need to come see it. I mean, I'm paying you. But I'm like, okay, come out to the yard, my construction, you'll see it. I'll have it there Saturday for you. So I took like a 4-foot pipe, like a 14-inch steel pipe, and I welded this 20-foot solid steel bar of metal Like I bent it and I like welded it to the side of it and I left it in the dirt. Okay. And she came to my yard. I wasn't there. I go, yeah, it's on the ground. You'll see it. So I got this voicemail. I get this voicemail from her. I am so disappointed. This is terrible. I'm paying all this money and all this thing is this and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. I'm listening to voicemail. So I get it done the following week, right? It's done. I'm installing it on a Sunday with a crane. They're not there. I put the whole thing in. So you want to hear the voicemail on Monday? This is what it was. You're the master. This is unbelievable. I've never seen anything so beautiful in my whole life. I'm like, yeah, let me play the other voicemail.
Yes, listen to it.
It's just,
6 days ago, you had different words for me, but that's okay.
That's right. It's all good now. So it just kind of encapsulates like what I do. So I'm a pressure guy. I will perform when I need. I win when I need to win, right? At the big games. I do that kind of stuff. So if that's a good analogy, but so with that in mind, I started operating this way. So now it's the next business, right? I started thinking, well, I'll just do this thing, but you don't have anything. How are you going to do it with nothing?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll be resourceful. I'll figure it out. I don't need much. I just start and I do it and it'll work out. And I'm not saying it's the best method. It's very difficult, but I achieve things.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I don't know if we take a little psychological trip. I think a lot of it was that people say you can't do something, like you don't have talent, you don't have this, you can't add, you can't subtract, you're in 6th grade and this is 2nd grade math and you can't divide and you can't. So there's all these things, right? I have school issues. And so I had this battle like, well, that's not true. Like I can't do it your way, but I can do it. So I kind of fixed. So when I became an adult and I got in the Corps and I got out, I retaught myself.
Yes.
But I taught myself the way I could learn. And then next thing you know, I'm thinking about the art teacher that told me I had no talent. And I'm doing this massive exhibit going, I am making more money on one commission than they'll make in 10 or 15 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But I have no talent.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's
just
challenge accepted.
Best revenge is success, right? So
exactly.
So I think that was a big driver, right, for me. What I figured out actually on a podcast like a few months ago, a guy like figured me out. For me, it was like free therapy. So I'm telling him like I do this, and he's asking why, and I go, I don't know, it's just on to the next great thing, And he goes, "Oh, you're a words of affirmation guy." And I go, you're right. I did the next thing so people would tell me I'm great.
Yeah.
I did the next cool thing to tell me I'm great. And I did even cooler thing to tell me I'm even greater. And that was literally my existence for that 20 years because I didn't care about money.
Yes.
I made a lot of it, but it isn't what drove me. I didn't like it at all. I just wanted to make great things and build the next thing and just tell me I can't do something. So it was kind of neat to figure that out before I'm 60.
Well, I think even just telling yourself building the next great thing is a mindset that many entrepreneurs don't have, right? It's like, well, I've got to build this. I have to. Not even that I get to or I choose to, but you take it a step further. I'm just going to build the next great thing, the next amazing thing. And you have proven that to yourself over and over again as a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, it really is. The more you think about it, it is a mindset. Obviously, boxing was the same thing. So I get out of the Marine Corps, and I'm like, I have a friend. I'm managing a bar right out, also, and I'm like, okay, the head doorman, he's a boxer, big 6'3", 240, 10% body fat, just a monster. South London kickboxing champion, and he boxes. I go, hey, I want to box. He goes, well, come on down to the gym. So I go down to the gym, glove up, get in with him. I'm in the ring. Couldn't lay a glove on him, right? Chasing him around the ring. I look like a complete fool, so, and he's just kind of smiling and he looks at me and pop, he throws a jab at me and breaks my nose. Oh, it's just bleeding all over. I'm like, oh, I'm okay. So I keep chasing him down, we're working. And then he looks at me again, he stops and he throws this left hook. Bam, my mouthpiece, you guys, was out of my mouth, out of the ring and across the gym. hit me so hard. And I'm like, whoa. And then this little kid runs up and gives me back my mouthpiece, like all full of hair and nasty stuff, whatever. And I like, I try to go. And I'm like, we finished the round. And they're like, okay, that's enough. And I like go, boom. It's like I got 2 black eyes, busted nose. I can't chew for days. I go to work back to the bar that night. The general manager sees me. I mean, it looked like a train wreck, right? He's like, what happened to you? And I go, oh, I was boxing with Dave. And his name was Crazy Dave.
Yeah.
The picture. Right. So that was we nicknamed him. And he's like, well, you can't do that. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you can't work here and like look like the I go, well, then I'll quit because I'm going back tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get good at this.
Yeah.
And then boom, I became a champion. I trained every day, 6 days a week for years and doing all this stuff. And I have 7 breaks in my nose, detached from my face. I have plates and wires. I got all this cool stuff now because I'm that dumb of a person.
All or nothing. We go back to it all comes back to all or nothing.
That's right. Until I was forcibly quit, since I had to have my whole face open up, then I couldn't box. Yes. So then I went into Taekwondo and decided to get a black belt in that, because that's not as hard.
Wow.
Well, I think a lot of people, like the Spider-Man analogy, they keep holding on to the past because it's safe. Because man, if I still have that safety, then, and I would say I tend to do that a little bit with my real estate business. I know it as I'm launching the coaching and the speaking. It's like, ooh, but that's safe because I can, I can just turn that on and make a few calls and I got money coming in. So it's hard to do what you did, which is just nope, I'm all in.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if I like use it as a recommendation, like try it my way. I'm not like, I don't do that to people because it will crush them.
If you're not built for it, do not start out this way.
Yeah, don't start
we
out
want
this
to
way.
put that disclaimer out for everyone.
It's an acquired taste.
Exactly.
It's not for everyone.
That's right. So
it's not for the faint at heart. Oh my goodness. Right. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
So the initial driving factor as well, and the story that you shared was the example that you wanted to provide for your kids. So fast forward now, we're a few years out, a decade and a half out. Tell us a little bit about the impact of your decision on your family life and what that looks like.
So it was really cool because, I mean, there's a whole story in the 6 kids in 3.5 years too, but what that decision was really, really pivotal. So when I say epiphany, I mean an epiphany in the sense that truly God opened a window for me to see into the future. Okay. Like it was so clear. And I was like, I mean, I never thought I could do that. Like go and just, it's done. But what I saw, I mean, it's obviously I'm still talking about it. Right. So that decision, again, it wasn't an easy time. But we wanted to homeschool our children. I wanted to homeschool them all the way through and do all this stuff. We had these great plans, which then got altered because you got nothing, but we're still going to do it. So, but that decision and making that work, because now each new business was built so that I had time with my family. Full transparency, I was never going to be a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
No interest in that. Okay. I want to work, but if my wife calls me at noon and says, can you come home and help me? I can be there in 15 minutes. I'm not going to tell her I can't come home until 6.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So I built my next business that way. Other people doing the work, and I figured out those systems. And now I got to influence my children with my actions. Because more is caught than taught. So like I said, if they watch me do all that stuff in business pre-09, and we continue down that path, I can tell them all the cool stuff and the things you should do, as a lot of people do, but they don't do it. It's that hypocritical kind of thing, but the default will be what I did. Yeah. Whether that's when they're 30 and they run into a hard time or whatever, that's a default. So that was what really drove me to change how I did business and figure it out. But I want to be around. And I'll tell you something really cool about that. So one of my twin boys I think he was about 8. And so like about 4 years later, I come driving up my truck, get home, doing my stuff, and it's kind of a hard day and beautiful day out. And then he goes, Dad, come here. And he's got 2 like the little fold out canvas chairs, like sit in the middle of the yard facing each other. He goes, sit down. And I sit down, and he goes on, he scoots the edge of his seat and he looks at me and he goes, so how are you doing? Just like that. I mean, and I'm just like, oh. And I just said, I'm like, I mean,
Love
legit, like he wanted to know, like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's good. It was a hard day. So I'm talking, I'm going, this is why I did it.
Yeah.
Because I have an 8-year-old who understands like what I go through in a day, and he gets it. And he, so all my kids got to experience entrepreneurship because they'd come to the gym with me. My daughter would see me sell a membership. They watched me train people, right? I trained my kids. I got to train all my kids. I got my oldest, they were runners. So he's like, well, I want to go to the Junior Olympics. And I go, well, let's go. You mean as an athlete? Oh, that okay. We'll go
That's
as an
different.
athlete. No. He was a talented runner, and he's doing the 800. So like, let's train. So we trained for a little over a year. I trained him every day, worked together, and we got him to the Junior Olympics. Even he had to race in an older age class too, because of his birthday. But did well. Did fine. It was a great experience. If you're, how old was he? 14. You're 14 and you're running in front of 16,000 people on the track. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could come in last, which he did. Okay. But you ran you got there. You got to the big stadium. It was really, really cool. So, and my other kids did different things, right? So they all kind of got to do, my daughter, music and voice and music lessons for 10 years. It was really, really great. Every kid I got to tailor exactly how they learn because we homeschool. So I see how they learn. They got to travel. They got to do all this great stuff. So that epiphany and that drive to do it opened up a world for my kids that they could have never had.
Yeah.
If they were just what I like to say on the yellow bus.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was just, and for me, I'm not saying it's for everybody or anything else, and you should all do it, but you should. But if you don't, it's really awesome. And like they're 18, my oldest is in the Marine Corps now. Okay. So after the cross country track thing in the Junior Olympics, then the next thing he's like, well, I want to box. I'm like, oh man, don't you want to do like jujitsu or we could do something else? No, Marshall. He goes, no, I want to box. I go, well, you tell your mother. I'm not telling her you want to go box because she's gonna, and it's all it's your influence. I'm like, no, I want him to do something else. So he goes, I want you to recite
and the possibility of having to like reattach your face, but that's there's
exactly.
that.
Those are details.
Exactly. Little minor details.
So I trained. We went every day. We trained every day. We're training the box. He did really well. Super tough. I'm like, wow, man, he's not a quitter. He's super tough. All this stuff so great. So we do that, all the training, everything else. And then he's getting his Eagle Scout. Okay. So we're having the ceremony that day. So him and I go to lunch and he goes, Dad, I got to talk to you. I'm like, oh, here it comes. Like, I don't know what's next. And he's like, I got to tell you something. I'm like, oh man, those aren't words a parent wants to hear.
No.
Okay. I got to tell you something. All right. So he goes, I want to go in. I go in. He goes, I want to be a SEAL. I want to be a Navy SEAL. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. So we're sitting in the car and I'm like, you know what that entails? He goes, yes. I go, okay. He goes, but I need you to train me.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.